Welcome into episode 19 of Plead Your Case. Today on the docket, we have a recap of the NHL Trade deadline.
Needed. Over the last couple of playoff rounds, they've struggled with depth in the bottom six. I think acquiring Kadri and solidifying that center depth right down the middle of the rink on the forward side is perfect for them.
An update on the World Baseball Classic.
They got the big stars, and it's just going to come down to between USA versus Dominican Republic or Japan.
Penultimate round of the Pick'em playoff with Benicio Joe and Joe Cirillo.
I mean, you said sparks, and where do sparks start from? They start from a pickaxe, and where's the pickaxe coming from? The miners trying to find some nuggets.
And a recap of a frenzy of an NFL free agency day.
Rico Dowdle signing for 2 years, $12.25 million. I love that signing, to be honest. Kenneth Gainwell, say what you want about the team MVP, but Rico Dowdle was cheaper than him.
Don't go anywhere. Plead Your Case is next.
Welcome into Plead Your Case, Waynesburg Community Television's national sports debate show, now expanding outside the realm of the Power 4 sports. All our panelists will expand into the depths of professional sports while speaking on the newest sports topics each week. We're also bringing new mini-segments like I Got Something to Say, State of the Union, Pick 'em Pools, while even bringing back a popular mini-segment, the 5 and 5. Here at PYC, we plan to create debates, create memories, and the best takes possible for you, the viewer. No one is safe. Every opinion, every angle will be challenged and discussed to further detail. So sit back, relax. It's now time to plead your case.
Welcome back in. I'm Stone Mangus alongside Tyler Aaron and Brayden King, and today we'll be going over the NHL trade deadline recap that happened this past Thursday. And I'll start it with a pretty simple question, and I'll start with Brayden King. Who was the winner of this trade deadline on Thursday?
I think that there was a couple of them. For sure, Colorado's definitely the number one. They had the trade of the day, acquiring Nazem Kadri from the Calgary Flames. And in exchange for Victor Olofsson, a prospect, a 2027 conditional second-round pick, and a 2028 first that's conditional as well. Colorado is the best top nine in hockey now. I mean, I think we can possibly say this. Once everybody's healthy, because I know they have a couple injuries, but by playoff time, you have a top nine of Landeskog, McKinnon, Natchez as a first line, Lehkonen, Nelson, Nichushkin, Colton, Kadri, Kiviranta, and you have a couple extra centers like Nicola Waugh and Jack Drury to help out on that fourth line. This team is scary.
Yeah, for me, I'm still going to stick out west. I'm going to go with the Anaheim Ducks. In a trade that happened so late, it happened at approximately 1 a.m. on deadline day, and it's a trade that nobody saw coming, with John Carlson getting traded after 17 years with the Washington Capitals out to Anaheim for an exchange of a couple draft picks. And that's just a huge trade for the Ducks to be able to get an elite defenseman to add to their blue line. And then on top of that, you were able to trade Ryan Strome out of Anaheim to the Calgary Flames, who was eating up $5 million out of your salary for not just this year, but also next year as well. So essentially a giant cap dump, but you didn't have to package anything with it, just another draft pick. So that opens up more money and more flexibility for the Ducks to re-sign their younger guys like Leo Carlsson and Beckett Seneca.
So, Brayden, you said that the Avalanche were the biggest winners of this trade deadline, specifically with that Nazem Kadri trade. Does this solidify them as the Cup favorite here in March?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they're the number one squad. They finally have that last piece. That's what they needed. Over the last couple of playoff rounds, they've struggled with depth in the bottom six. I think acquiring Kadri and solidifying that center depth right down the middle of the rink on the forward side is perfect for them. They had the money to pull it off, and they pulled it off. It was a great deal.
So we've got our winners of the trade deadline. Let's talk about the teams that maybe didn't do enough on Thursday. Tyler, who was your loser at the deadline?
I'm going to go with the Washington Capitals just on the other side of it, just because that's a trade that you never typically do with the defenseman and John Carlson trading away, just because he is your bona fide number one defenseman of all time in Washington Capitals history. And to trade him at 1 o'clock in the morning is crazy. But you also get rid of another young forward in Nick Dowd. You trade him to you trade him away to Colorado. And I just don't think that that's a move you want to do, because now you're hurting your future as well as you're only a point out of a playoff spot right now. So why in the world would you trade Nick Dowd away? Just because he's just a consistent guy that you can have in your top nine. and you acquire a guy like Timothy Liljegren, David Kampf, these are all depth people. I just don't see the benefit in the Washington Capitals in making the playoffs this year.
The San Jose Sharks are my loser. They're 1 point out of a playoff spot right now, and they were way too quiet. They still have some holes on right defense and left wing. And, you think about the other teams that are right around them in the playoffs. The Kings added at the deadline. Seattle picked up a couple pieces. Utah was a massive piece of the deadline around that time. And the Sharks were quiet. They were way too quiet. I think if you want to kickstart your window, you should have bought at that deadline, especially with the group and the assets and the young pieces that they have. Picking up a couple veterans at that deadline would have been very important for them.
I'm going to disagree with you on the loser. I'm going to say it's the Carolina Hurricanes. I mean, there's no real answer as to why they didn't go out and get some draft picks. I mean, the Hurricanes sitting on draft day were was like a person waiting for tickets on Ticketmaster, refreshing, waiting for the prices to go down, and everyone else already bought all the tickets. The Hurricanes missed out. I know they got Delorier, but in an Eastern Conference that is totally wide open, guys, why didn't they go out and get some picks?
See, I think the reasoning why is because their top 9 right now is very, very good. I don't think that they really needed to add a whole lot of pieces. They have a lot of cap space to work with for some offseason transitions when they need to make in that decision. But I also don't think the market was very good this time around. All the big pieces were gone. Panarin was gone before the deadline. The only massive piece that was really available was Vincent Trocheck, and I don't think he was going to fit back in that system.
Yeah, it was very awkward, to say the least, just because every single trade deadline, Carolina always has a huge aspect to it. I mean, Mikko Rantanen was a big story last year, and he got dealt at the deadline to Dallas from Carolina, that huge package that Carolina got. But you also had the draft capital from that Dallas trade last year that you could use and splurge a little bit. But I do understand cap space is a really hard thing. And I definitely do agree with you, Brayden. It was a seller's market this year, and the prices were really high. I mean, there were players that were fetching first-round picks that should never, ever fetch first-round draft picks.
One of those players, by the way, Brayden Schenn, the New York Islanders traded a first-round pick, a third-round pick, and a couple prospects to St. Louis. Did they overpay for Brayden Schenn?
That price is way too high. A first-round pick I don't think was the best choice. The third and the prospects, certainly. I think that the GM got a little bit swayed for a sweetener in Brayden Schenn. He's a really solid player, don't get me wrong. He's a great face-off specialist. It's something that the Islanders have desperately needed up front. But I think that a first-round pick was way too high. Everything else about that trade was perfect. The first-round pick blew it over for me.
I think the Islanders had to make a move like that and give up as much as they did, because I think that there were other teams that were following suit in trying to acquire Brayden Schenn, so then it just becomes a bidding war. And fortunately for the New York Islanders, they made a high bid on this caliber of a player. I mean, he's the St. Louis Blues captain in Brayden Schenn, but he's on the older side. But if this is a move that the Islanders think is going to advance them into playoffs and send them on a deep playoff run to the Stanley Cup, then that's their choice.
Yeah, the Eastern Conference is totally wide open for these teams like the New York Islanders, the Pittsburgh Penguins, who made a couple trade acquisitions earlier in the season. They only made one on Thursday, and it was for Elmer Soderblom from Detroit. Are you guys surprised that they didn't go out and go get a bottom six forward or a third-line defenseman?
Not at all. I thought that the trade was perfect. He's a really big body, 6'8". He's stellar on the left wing front. He's still very young. That was the kind of thing that Kyle Dubas wanted to acquire, was more young talent that are big and feisty and can get down in the dirty areas in the front of the net and play good on the puck. I think that's something that Soderblom has to his advantage. They did have a lot of cap space. I know that. There were a bunch of trade offers that were circling around social media like, let's get Jason Robertson, let's get this guy. Didn't want to pull the trigger. I don't blame Dubas for being more passive in that aspect. It was a seller's market. There weren't a lot of assets. And the trade, to think of guys that were being asked to go into that deal, if you wanted to pick up a guy like Robert Thomas or Jason Robertson, trading away top prospects was not the move.
Yeah, I think with the Penguins in this trade, the Penguins aren't necessarily in an area where they have to make a move. Just because you look at the direction of the team, Dubas wants to get younger. He wanted to get guys who's going to help the Penguins now and in the future, because who would have thought in October the Pittsburgh Penguins would be sitting in second place in the Metropolitan Division and in a very deep cushion when it comes to the playoffs. So I don't think it was a necessary move, but I see why Dubas made the trade. He wanted someone with size. Soderblom's 6'8". That's something that the Penguins do not have in their prospect pool.
Yeah, as the season winds down, the Penguins right now sitting at second in the Metropolitan Division in the East. Playoff race really picking up here. And we'll have that all for you on Plead Your Case when the playoffs near. But as for now, here on episode 19, we are going to throw it to the World Baseball Classic update. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Plead Your Case.
I'm working here. My bad.
Continuing on Plead Your Case, only the 6th World Baseball Classic ever, but there's still 4 undefeated teams across 4 different polls. I'm Logan Arblaster, and joining us now, a new set of faces, Chase Maseko and Paul Sembauer, to discuss what has been a really exciting and entertaining World Baseball Classic so far. If you take a look at the poll, guys, Puerto Rico leading the way in Pool A, and it's been really interesting to watch because there is so much talent in this World Baseball Classic across all the countries. In Pool B, which the games are being played in Houston, USA leads there. Japan in the lead of Pool C, and in Pool D, to round things out, the games being played in Miami, Venezuela, and Acuna Jr. leading the way for the Venezuela team. But it's been very exciting to watch, I think, so far. But going into it, there was questions, guys. Will this be something that people want to watch? Is this something that really is going to draw a lot of attention? We see from the turnouts at these games, the attendance, that might not be the case.
To kick it off, I think so far the WBC has really kind of failed to capitalize on the hype that the Olympics provided passing the winter season. We just saw the 2 USA hockey teams win gold at the Olympics, and now it seems like that hype really hasn't carried over. I'm really hoping that as we near this playoff season, or the playoff of this tournament, that USA spirit really starts to turn up, because right now I haven't seen it from the American side. But when you look at the other side of things, out of teams like Venezuela, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, the Japanese team, those teams are all showing out for their country, but I really haven't seen it yet from the Americans of the United States.
Paul, what do you think?
Yeah, Team USA, they are the really quiet fans in this whole thing. In Tokyo, like Chase said, they're showing out. They have full concerts before some of their games. But USA has been really quiet, and Bryce Harper from the Philadelphia Phillies, who plays on Team USA, actually said in a quote that he said he wishes the World Baseball Classic was in the Olympics, and they are adding baseball back to the Olympics, because the hype would be so much more intense. Because I've talked to friends from back home who don't watch baseball. They haven't really heard about the World Baseball Classic, and it's a shame, because it's a great tournament and such a great platform to see prospects and old stars in baseball.
Well, I think the principle of it is everybody that enjoys baseball, they love the World Series, but that's because if you have a favorite team, if your team wins the World Series, you're going to have a lot more emotion attached to that than maybe if the United States wins in the World Baseball Classic. I know, being a baseball fan of the Pirates, that if the Pirates won the World Series, then I would be extremely emotionally attached and happy to watch them win. Now, if Team USA won the World Baseball Classic, I don't know if I would care that much after about a day or two. So I think that's where there's the conflicting views as far as entertainment goes. But to continue on here, I also wanted to throw your guys' way. Usually every year, and we kind of already hit on this, it's similar teams. Team USA, the Dominican, and Japan are the only 3 teams that have won every single year in the World Baseball Classic that it's been out. It's only the 6th year for it. But will there be a different country this year that will prevail, or is this going to be the same old? And that's where I think when you talk about the entertainment aspect, everybody knows it's going to usually be Japan, the United States, the Dominican, and those teams that end up in the end.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be the same script as past years. It's gonna come down to between the USA, the Dominican Republic, and Japan. But USA are going to be in the finals. It's just I don't know who it's gonna be between yet, though. Both Japan and the Dominican Republic, the DR being led by O'Neal Cruz. He's been a dog at the plate, big Pirates guy. And then for Japan, it's the same story. Shohei Ohtani, Muntaka Murakami. Like, They got the big stars, and it's just going to come down to between USA versus Dominican Republic or Japan in the finals. It's going to be the same story for a while.
The Dominican team's just completely full of three hitters top to bottom.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I wanted to hit on is this Dominican Republic team is truly remarkable. We talk about the Team USA team having Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt Jr. You go down the lineup, they really have an awesome lineup as well. But when you look at the Dominican Republic, they have three of the best outfielders in the game besides Aaron Judge. They have Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis Jr., and Julio Rodriguez, all in their starting outfield. That doesn't even mention Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Manny Machado in the corner spots of the infield. Their question mark has always been pitching, but so far this season, or this tournament, they've been having strong pitching, and the United States bullpen has kind of struggled coming into games, specifically against that Mexico team last night. Bullpen almost blew it, ended up being a 5-3 game when it was 5-0 in the later stages of that game.
Yeah, Chase, and this is a World Baseball Classic format where you have to be able to play small ball, and I think that's also exciting that teams like Nicaragua or Brazil, they have to come in and to beat star-studded lineups, they have to play small ball, move guys up, bunt, get the extra bases, and that's something that you really don't see outside of maybe Division III baseball. So I like that it's real baseball from that aspect. But I also want to finish up here real quickly. You mentioned some of the names that really stand out. Who's your guys' tournament MVP? Who ends up ultimately winning this thing?
I think if the Dominican Republic wins, which I think they're going to be my pick to win. They have too many really good players. I think it's going to be Junior Caminero. He batting .400 average through 10 ABs, has 2 home runs so far. He's been a dog. Let me tell you, he's been on fire. I like Junior Caminero to be my MVP more and more every day.
Yeah, here, I'll pick the United States here. They lost last time 3-2 to Japan. This is really their bounce back. Mark DeRosa, the manager for the team, really mentioned it. And you hear it from all the players playing in this tournament, whether it be Paul Skeens, Aaron Judge, Bobby Witt, Alex Bregman. They're all talking about this mission they have to represent their country and pick up the win. So because of that, I'll take the United States. And because I don't think a pitcher is going to get it, because I would love for it to be Paul Skeens, I'll take Aaron Judge to be my MVP.
A little over a week into action, there are several teams vying for the top 2 spots in pool play. The top 2 teams move on to the quarterfinal round, and they go from there in the tournament format. But the United States, their next game against Italy Tuesday night. We'll keep tabs on that, but we'll also keep tabs on the NFL. And we'll head to the Pick'em segment right before that, next on the other side of the break on Plead Your Case.
Oh, I didn't see you there. I'm Mia Hinkins, and welcome to Buell Hall, home of Waynesburg University's Department of Communication. If you visit our campus, you'll have the opportunity to attend some comm classes, enjoy lunch with our students, and watch us in action. We hope to see you here soon at Waynesburg University.
To schedule your personal visit, go to waynesburg.edu/admissions/schedule-visit. Come grow with us at Waynesburg University.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Plead Your Case. We are now here with the Pick'em playoffs, where last time it was myself versus Stone Mangus. Myself, Brady Donovan, went 5-0, beating Stone Mangus. I am now currently the #1 seed. I am alongside Mr. Joe Cirillo and Mr. Benicio DeFalco. So, guys, all of these games are taking place on Thursday, and we're going to kick it off with some NHL action. We're going to do the Washington Capitals at the Buffalo Sabres. Joe, go ahead. You have 30 seconds.
All right. For myself, I'm going to go with the Capitals here on this game. The Sabres have been on a hot streak, and they've been one of the best teams within the NHL recently, but I think that's going to come to an end. The Capitals need to get some more points up there to kind of secure themselves and have a little bit more of a cushion when it comes to their playoff push that they're looking for, and especially with what is potentially Ovechkin's last season. They definitely want to make it a good one, and so here with the Sabres, I'm going to take the Capitals.
I'm going with the Sabres. They're one of the hottest teams in the NHL, 7-game winning streak. They only 19 losses on the season. This game will be taking place at home with that record, only 39 wins on the season. One of the best teams at home. Tage Thompson, one of the hottest players in the NHL. Hard not to go with Buffalo.
So we immediately start off with a split, and we're going to keep it in the NHL. Benny, the Detroit Red Wings or the Tampa Bay Lightning?
I'm going to go with Tampa Bay here. I'm not sure if this is a difficult pick. They average 3.5 goals on the year. They're better offense than the Red Wings. They haven't lost to Detroit this season. I think that's an added factor. Detroit, they might use that to their advantage, being that they're going to be a hungrier team. They struggled versus the Panthers in the 3-1 loss. Lightning, they got more star power as well. I'm going with the Lightning.
As Benny said, I mean, the Red Wings are hungry. They want one. They want one bad. And this would be a 1-2 win. But for Detroit, I don't think it's going to happen for them. I think the Lions have honestly been taking a lot of their juju recently when it comes to free agency. So you got to go Tampa in this situation, especially when they get it warmer down there. A lot more fans going to be showing out. I think it's going to be an exciting one for Tampa to get the victory.
Well, that'll do it for the NHL. So we're going to toss it over to a little NCAA basketball. Joe, UMass in Miami of Ohio. Who do you got?
I mean, Miami of Ohio is just an incredible team to watch, but so is UMass at the same time. And especially getting down to the nitty-gritty of finding out who's going to be going to the tournament, into the big dance. Miami needs to have a push, and I think I'm going to go with Miami on this one, as they really need that push, and all of them know it. The coaching staff knows it. The athletic training staff knows it. The fans know it, but especially the players know it. They're going to come into this game with a vengeance, and they're going to achieve that just like Batman.
Don't overthink it. UMass, they already lost to Miami of Ohio earlier in the season. Miami of Ohio undefeated, 31-0. Their record speaks for itself. They're the most dominant team in the MAC. Their record speaks for itself. They're one of the most entertaining teams in all of college basketball, and they're going to be a team to watch out for in March. So with that being said, I think you know who I'm picking. Give me Miami of Ohio.
Well, we're going to stick in the basketball world, but this time we're going to switch it to the professionals. NBA. Benny, the Denver Nuggets and the San Antonio Spurs, who do you got?
I'm going with San Antonio. They're the younger team. They're going to play with a lot more spark. Stephon Castle is having a phenomenal year for the Spurs, only his second year in the league. When he's on the court, you almost forget that De'Aaron Fox is right next to him. Jokic, he looks forward to these matchups, and Victor Wembanyama, he's going to be trying to pick on him. He's the bigger player. Yes, Wemby has the size advantage, but Jokic, he's going to be backing him down in the paint. If the Spurs, like I said, Stephon Castle, if they isolate him on Jamal Murray and they're able to get the stops on Murray, the Spurs are going to win.
I mean, you said sparks, and where do sparks start from? They start from a pickaxe, and where's the pickaxe coming from? The miners trying to find some nuggets. We're going with the Nuggets here. The Nuggets coming into this one with Jokic, they need to get really hot really quickly, especially in this kind of mid-season area that they're at. I think they're going to come into this knowing that the Spurs are going to be hot on their tail and that they're one of the better teams within the NBA right now. Nuggets are going to come in. They're going to get the victory really big here.
So for our final pick'em on this segment, we have the Boston Celtics and the Oklahoma City Thunder. So Joe, how this pick is going to work, obviously you're going to pick a winner like you usually do, but it's going to be decided if it is a tiebreaker. So give me a final score as well with the winner.
I'm going to go here with the Celtics. Getting back Jason Tatum is definitely going to be a momentum shift for them. And being able to come into the reigning champion with the Thunder and kind of, I think, shut them down a little bit more is going to be a momentum shifter, but also a little bit of an eye change for a lot of the NBA moving into this later half of the season. For myself, when it comes to the score, I'm going to go with a 110-107 score, Celtics leading it and winning by 3.
I'm going with the Thunder here. They're the first team to 50 wins this season. SGA just had 35 points in a game winner versus the Denver Nuggets, one of the best teams in the NBA. Well, when we're looking at these two teams, we could possibly see them be playing in the finals. These are probably the best two teams in the NBA. Jason Tatum just came back, and Boston being where they're at right now, I think speaks volumes of their roster. The Celtics, they're 2-0 with Tatum, but the Thunder, they're going to play spoiler. Expect another MVP performance from SGA.
Well, that'll do it, everybody, for the Pick'em Playoffs segment. Up next on Plead Your Case is going to be the first week wrap-up of NFL free agency with myself, Logan Arblaster, and Cade Henderson, so stay tuned.
There's been a number of different moves. Rico Dowdle just signed a free agency contract with the Pittsburgh Steelers, as well as the Steelers trading for Michael Pittman Jr. from the Colts. So a bunch of moves. Jamel Dean, another name on that list too, that the Steelers added early on in free agency. So the Steelers, they go out, they get Mike McCarthy to start the offseason. They completely revamp their coaching staff altogether, and they get off to a hot start here on the other side of the AFC North.
Yeah, the Steelers made some nice moves yesterday. Michael Pittman Jr. obviously being the big one. Rico Dowdle signing for 2 years, $12.25 million. I love that signing, to be honest. Kenneth Gainwell, say what you want about the team MVP, but Rico Dowdle was cheaper than him. And Rico Dowdle was a little bit better of a running back last year. So I would much rather have Rico Dowdle for that much cheaper than them re-sign Kenneth Gainwell.
Yeah, Kenneth Gainwell, definitely a solid running back, but a lot more in the passing game than Dowdle will be. But when you add Pittman as another weapon, you get two wide receivers who can make a difference on the field. It's going to help out whoever the QB is, whether it's going to be Rodgers or you're going to have Will Howard in there. You at least give them some kind of weapons, because last year it was pitiful at the wide receiver too.
Well, and guys, like the Steelers did not have a wide receiver two for 2 straight years, so they finally are able to solidify that position and make it better, and they'll probably target some guys in the draft as well at that position. So Omar Khan finally puts that case to bed. He gets the wide receiver two that he's been looking for. There was talks that the Steelers might get Jalen Waddle at the trade deadline last year, and they weren't able to do so. But I do think it's fascinating with Rico Dowdle here, because this is a guy that he literally outplayed the NFL Super Bowl MVP in Kenneth Walker in almost every category, statistically speaking, where he had more yards per carry, more yards overall. I mean, really just had a fundamentally great season. So the Steelers really got a bargain there for him. I think the Steelers and Ravens both could be the winners so far of this early NFL offseason. And part of the reason the Ravens went out and got Max Crosby, they were 30th in the NFL in sacks last year. Only one time since the 1996 inaugural season for Baltimore did they have a situation where they only had one guy with less than 4.5 sacks. So they go out and they get Max Crosby. The Steelers make their counter moves. It always seems like a bit of a rivalry even in the offseason for those teams. We mentioned Linderbaum on his way to the Raiders, but another headliner, Tua and Willis. Tua out of Miami and Willis into Miami.
Yeah, this Tua move makes no sense to me. You bring in an injury-prone quarterback to an already injury-prone QB room, and not to mention that they're both lefty now. So you have to add that into your offense too. It really just makes no sense for me. And for the Miami Dolphins, you take a gigantic cap hit, actually the largest in NFL history, to his contract, $99 million. And you go out and get Malik Willis. I mean, the guy has 3 wins in the NFL, and you're paying him $23 million a year. I mean, just from my standpoint, I don't understand it.
Yeah, for the Falcons, it's glass bones and paper skin. You get 2 lefty quarterbacks, and lefty quarterbacks don't even work at the NFL level, honestly. They're pretty terrible, as you can see, Gabriel to Penix Jr. And then for Miami, as little experience as Malik Willis had, I think there's honestly some pretty big benefits to having him. He's reuniting with Jeff Hafley from the Packers, so you're getting a guy that he already knows and he can work with. And then Willis in those starts, the one start he had last year against the Ravens, he went 18 for 21, 288 yards and a passing TD, but it's that running game. It's the legs that he has on the ground that makes him such a difference maker. You have 9 rushes, 60 yards, and 2 TDs. So you're taking a chance on a guy who started 6 games in his entire career. But it's a worthy risk. I think you're taking a risk on a guy who's actually shown the potential and has made the growth in the league to actually be at least an average NFL starter.
There's 2 sides to this equation here, and I see it from the one side where it's like, okay, Malik Willis, in the games that he did play, he looked very solid. He looked like Patrick Mahomes almost at times, and I'm not just exaggerating. I honestly think he passed the eye test. So when he was out there, he passed the eye test. But on the other side of things, he's only started 6 games in his NFL career, and 2 of them last year. And then on top of that, he's going into the offseason, going into the next season, coming off of a right arm injury. And that's just something that's not being taken into account here, is that he could still, what are you going to see out of him after that? There's too many question marks, and there's a lot of fool's gold, I think, going on here in this free agency class. But I do get it for Miami, because they ate $100 million just to cut Tua, where they really said, would you rather keep Tua or would you rather cut him and have to pay $100 million? So that really tells you the point they got to with him. But it was a cheaper deal for the Dolphins to go out and get Willis, and I really think that it could pay off for them. It's a high ceiling, high risk situation. You could benefit from it. There's a bunch of different ways to look at it, but there's also a bunch more free agents remaining, guys, and there's a number of guys that could go different places. Where do you think Kyler Murray will land? Where do you think Trey Hendrickson will land, and some of the names that are still left on this top of the free agency list?
Well, Kyler Murray's an interesting name, because now looking at it, the Miami Dolphins aren't going to take him, which was my original thought. The Pittsburgh Steelers are still wide open. I mean, still waiting on Aaron Rodgers to make a move. I mean, I could see him in Minnesota, maybe, just because they might bench J.J. McCarthy. I could see them now in Green Bay as a backup. I mean, he could really go anywhere, and he could really fit anywhere, but the problem is how much are you going to pay the guy? Because he's not worth a whole lot, except for his name. I mean, you're paying for the Kyler Murray, you know. You're not paying for the skill.
The A's still have his rights after that 9th pick in the MLB. I just think it would be more preferable if he returned and played for the A's. Because if I was an NFL franchise, why would I want a 5'9" QB who has not shown a ton of talent at the NFL level? Why would I want to sign him at this point in his career? Why? Why would I want him?
I actually didn't even think of that.
Yeah,
I didn't think of the athletics, but that's a good point.
And he's still under contract with them. He was drafted by them, so they still have his rights. But that'll do it for things here on the NFL segment. George Pickens, by the way, who would have been the top free agent in the free agency class, he was franchise tagged by the Cowboys, so he's likely to stay in Dallas. But for Logan Arblaster, Brady Donovan, and Cade Henderson, as well as the rest of the Plead Your Case crew on episode 19, this was episode 19, and next week will be episode 20. Thanks for watching, and come back next time for Plead Your Case.